In professional League of Legends, no stat gets misused more than KDA, kills, deaths, and assists. It's a clean number, one that claims to represent performance, but at the highest level of play, it often tells a more complicated story. Some of the most accomplished players in the world, multiple-time Worlds attendees, MSI champions, domestic stars, they consistently finish near the bottom of KDA charts at international tournaments. Caps, BrokenBlade, Canna, Canyon, Zven, each has been to at least 3 global events, and each has walked away with underwhelming stat line at times. These aren't bad players, they're great players, but their numbers don't always reflect it. So what gives? This is the KDA paradox.
Same target, or just try and win out in the side lane. Blanny's gonna jump back, Caps jumping forward, flashes away from the Q3 and takes the kill. Canna's here to try and stop the party, and Caps is touching everything.
Caps is the kind of player who plays the game like it's always winnable, even when it's not. A 2-time Worlds finalist, MSI MVP, and a perennial domestic threat, he's arguably the most accomplished Western mid laner in history. But when you look at his international stats, a strange pattern shows up. His KDA across multiple years is consistently mediocre or worse. At 2023 Worlds Championship, Caps posted a 1.8 KDA across 6 games. His numbers, 2 kills, 4 deaths, and 5 assists per game. The year before, he had a 2.1 KDA. Even during a strong MSI 2024 showing, his KDA stayed under 5. But those numbers don't come from passivity, they come from something else entirely, a need to force outcomes. Take MSI 2024, Game 5 versus T1. G2 is down in kills, map control is slipping, and the safe call is to reset and scale. Caps doesn't. Instead, he leads G2 into T1's jungle, trying to force a Baron setup through a risky pick. He walls off Gumayushi with his Weaver's Wall, but T1 quickly arrives. Faker turns it, and G2 are wiped, giving T1 a gold lead. The play is classic Caps or Craps depending on how you look at it. The score is bad, the numbers look worse, but it's not mindless. It's desperation by design. He plays to win even when the chances are thin, and especially when they are thin. He dies because he's trying to make something happen. And that's the trade-off. Caps doesn't play for clean scorelines, he plays for a chance to win, and if that means crashing and burning on the stage, so be it. It's not always pretty, but it's always Caps.
Dashes for now, gets stunned up by Alyoya, is gone, pulls Tracy underneath the tower, and he does it once more! That was nasty!
BrokenBlade stats at international events don't jump off the page. At Worlds 2022, his KDA was 1.8, over 6 games, 2.6 kills, 2.8 deaths, and 2.5 assists. Not awful, just unmemorable. But watching the game tells a different story. He doesn't play like someone lost or overmatched. He plays like someone trying to do things by the book, even when the book no longer applies. Take, for example, G2 versus BLG, Game 1 of the quarterfinals of 2022. G2 was behind, but it's not hopeless. BLG is sieging bot, and BrokenBlade on Renekton TPs behind enemy lines to start a fight. It's a textbook flank. Renekton in the back, damage from the front, but it's also obvious. They turn before G2 can follow, and BrokenBlade tries to dash away, but BLG drops the Rumble ult to secure the kill, and ultimately, the game. The decision was technically correct. The timing wasn't, and that's the pattern. BrokenBlade plays by structure. He'll slow push waves properly, he'll hold TPs for the right moment, he'll follow macro principles, but when things get messy, when the enemy breaks the rules, he can often stick to the script. In domestic games, that works. Against teams that don't punish slow reactions or punish predictable movement, it looks solid, but on the international stage, that same discipline can turn into inflexibility. The paradox is that BrokenBlade rarely makes the wrong play, but sometimes he makes the right play too late. He's a player who does everything by the book, even when the book needs to be thrown out.
Death sentence on the dragon, but it's again the Smite King of Winter! Oh my god! Korean Death Note!
Canna doesn't stand out on stat sheets, not for the worst reasons and not for the best ones either. At Worlds 2023, his KDA across 8 games was around 3, 2 kills, 2 deaths, and 5 assists per game. Middle of the pack, clean enough, but hard enough to actually recall anything that he did. And there's a reason for that. Canna doesn't get set up to succeed, he gets set up to hold the line. In Game 1 of the quarterfinals, Canna's Graves had only 1 kill, 1 death, and 4 assists, but he amassed 337 CS by relentlessly pushing top. His constant lane pressure forced Hanwha to respond to him, allowing T1's mid-jungle to freely secure kills and objectives elsewhere. In short, Canna's top lane dominance helped T1 win the game despite his modest KDA. And that's Canna's pattern. He's put on Ornn, he puts on Gwen with no jungle pressure, and he's asked to sort of sacrifice the lane and then hold side without resources, and he does, without complaint, without feeding, and without highlight clips. Canna's KDA is a function of role. He plays the losing matchup, he takes the short end of every draft, and when the rest of the team falls apart, he's still top lane farming. The paradox is that he's one of the most replaceable looking top laners because he's doing exactly what's been asked of him. He's the kind of player who loses well, and sometimes that's just the job.
So it should be his scuttle if he wants to actually play for this.
Oh!
The wraparound.
Yeah, now Nuggery's going to be able to move on over. There's the flash in, gets the big stun, and also able to get the Colombic. Unbelievable! From the top, the double! The Canyon and double, and Kia, they really want those.
Canyon might be the strangest name on this list. A Worlds champion, a Finals MVP, a player often mentioned in best jungler of all time debates, his mechanical ceiling is absurd. His player pathing is studied and his synergy with Showmaker built a dynasty. And yet, his international losses don't look like those of a genius, they look chaotic. His KDA at Worlds 2023? 4.7. Good on paper, but when DK lost, he was often right in the middle of the collapse. Take DK versus KT at Worlds 2023. Canyon's on Jarvan, and DK is behind on Dragons with one spawning in 20 seconds. Canyon sees what he thinks is Cuz's Viego out of position. He forces the engage, however, he is quickly collapsed on, and KT is able to look towards the Baron right after. It's a bad death, but it's not brainless. Because that same decision, the 1v1, the aggressive timing, it's won Canyon dozens of games. He plays the map like it belongs to him. He forces skirmishes early before comp scale and before the enemy is ready. It's pressure first jungling, and when it works, it snowballs entire series. When it fails though, it looks delusional. The KDA doesn't capture that, it just records the outcome, not the risk reward curve he's operating on, and not the fact that his aggression can occasionally drop him into a gray screen. Canyon doesn't pad, he doesn't play for stats, he plays to tilt the game in the first 10 minutes, and if it costs him his KDA, so be it. The paradox is that sometimes the best junglers make the worst stats, and Canyon is willing to make that trade.
Six in for one, in for a second, finally two traded back. Is it going to be enough? Blabber on the front lines, can still revive, push back, Johnson kiting for his life, pops the stopwatch, it's got to be Kumo in the front, Isles flashes in, make a little bit more happen, a quadra kill in for Zven, can it be the penta, the satchel into the air, the burn, the penta kill for Zven!
Zven's Worlds 2023 KDA was 1.6, not exactly what you want from your support. But Zven isn't the type to throw, he's just tuned out. Watch the 2019 LCS Summer Finals in the infamous no Quicksilver Sash moment. It's Game 5 versus Team Liquid. Zven's on Ezreal and Smithy Skarner is spotted walking straight through a ward. It's not a surprise and it's not a trap. Zven walks forward anyways. He gets ulted, QSS is up, and Flash is also up, but he reacts a beat too late. He dies and TL takes Baron, and soon after, the game is done. It's not a tragic misread, it's not bad mechanics, it's just autopilot. A player with hundreds of stage games walking forward because that's what you're supposed to do. In high pressure moments, it's easy to autopilot, to go through the motions. It's almost comforting, but it's the same sense of comfort that can lead to your demise. These 5 players are all elite. They've made it to the biggest stages in League again and again, and they've done it with playstyles that don't always show up in the stats. Their KDAs don't reflect dominance. Sometimes they reflect risk, other times hesitation, and sometimes nothing at all. And that's the paradox. The stat that's supposed to summarize performance can't explain how the best players, by resume, by reputation, may end up at the bottom of the box score, and maybe it doesn't need to. Their KDA tells you who lived and who died, but it doesn't tell you why. And that's the paradox. Thanks for watching.